Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to SmackDown. I'm your host, Christopher Billings, alongside Wes Steele in what has been, a roller coaster for 2011. The big thing is that Die Hard, lost his championship to Jordan Moore at Over the Limit, and the fans are buzzing about that.
Yeah, it was a fantastic match. It was a monumental night. Definitely the start of something very big for Jordan Moore in what is going to be what I think is going to be a fantastic time for him.
Oh yeah, it's definitely going to be a very huge, big year for Jordan Moore. Unfortunately for Die Hard, the matchup was so back and forth, and it was so intense in the final minutes. And I definitely thought that we were going to see Die Hard pull out the victory and usher us into 2012. Jordan Moore, proved that it doesn't matter who trains you, because it can be proven. He proved it that you can beat your mentor.
Yeah, and he talked about it on Skype. He told Die Hard to his face that maybe this is the turning point for him, and that this will be the turning point of his career. And it looks like Jordan got something to say, so looks like he's grabbing the mic. So we'll see if he's got to say about the match and the return of James Lee at Over the Limit.
I can't wait to hear what our new undisputed hardcore champion has to say to Jordan Moore.
First of all, I would like to be the first to welcome my old tag team partner and my best friend, Game Over, James Lee, back to the power plant. 18 months ago was his last match at Judgment Day against one of the best competitors to ever step into this ring, Grosser. James walked away from the power plant with his own reasons and is the only man in the history of the power plant to be undefeated in this very ring. James is a legacy here at the power plant, and tonight, in his first match, after his return, he will finish the job that I started. Die Hard has been scheduled for a match tonight against James, but is currently speaking to doctors in the back to see if he's even going to be medically cleared to compete tonight. And last I saw, he was still suffering from that kick to the head that may have ended his career at Over the Limit, but we'll see what they say. My friend, my ex-tag team partner, made his triumphant return at Over the Limit clad in TCO gear, and I'll admit, it scared me a little. But he walked down to the ring, grabbed the title, handed it to me, and raised my hand, his ex-tag team partner's hand, high in victory. I knew that he'd come back the same person he left and sees everything the same way as I do. This title. Finally, after all these years of waiting, I've done it. After all these years of watching, learning, studying, I've finally made it to the top. Until fairly recently, Die Hard has been somewhat of a brother to me. He's helped me when I was down, he built me up when I was weak, but more importantly, he trained and worked with me as my mentor. Finally, after 5 years of sitting back and watching him take center stage, I got my opportunity. Now I know that Die Hard and I have both done questionable things in the past, but recent events have given me the ability to see Die Hard for what he is, and it's a shadow of his former self. He has never hesitated to step up to any challenge, and that's a trait that I've acquired through many years of knowing him. But by putting himself on the line continually for those 5 years, he has destroyed his body. Because of the way that TCO has crumbled, I've become somewhat of a lone wolf. Someone that sits back and waits for their opportunity, and when I see it, I go for the kill. In a wolf pack, when a leader becomes weak, another wolf steps up and fights for that position. And that's what I saw, a weak leader. He doesn't have his head in the right spot anymore. Something had to be done. Now, I know we haven't exactly been seeing eye to eye as of late, but he kept trying to brush me aside and underestimating me. And as I sat back and studied him, he's grown ignorant to my growth. He's weak, he's slow, he's old, and most of all, he's broken. Die Hard has brought this upon himself, and I stepped up. Finally, my time has come. I'm in my prime. He's at the end of his rope in the power plant, which has ultimately led to his downfall. I've finally gotten my opportunity. I saw the window, and I struck. Finally, After all these years of patient waiting, I get my time. Finally, when all seems lost, a savior finds its way to the top. Finally, a man who will lead this company to bigger and better things. Finally, someone who has the opportunity to step up and take advantage of a situation. Someone that can put this title where it belongs. Finally, the most charismatic champion of all time has taken his place at the top of the power plant. Finally, the enigmatic era has begun. Finally, Jordan Moore has come to save the power plant. I will be the most dominant champion the power plant has ever seen. I will not falter. I will not back down. I am your undisputed champion.
Big words by the new undisputed champion. I mean,
it certainly was. I mean, he was talking about how James's return. I mean, he's talking about how he thinks he's ended the career of Die Hard. I mean, this is very strong words. And I mean, like you said, the doctors are checking Die Hard out in the back to see if he's medically cleared to compete here tonight, and he is scheduled for a match. So I mean, I'm assuming we'll see him out here later.
Exactly, and he's scheduled to face, James Lee, or as some people know him, Game Over. He is scheduled to face James Lee tonight, and but right now we've got Jacob Knight trying to make an impact here against the new undisputed champion, and this is a tall order for this young man. He doesn't have much exposure on the show.
He's been in a couple matches. He's gotten his opportunities. This certainly being his biggest, and I hope he'll get the something going for him here tonight. But so far, Jordan's really taking control of him and showing him how to work the ring.
Well, exactly, and the whole weird part about this is it's typically when the matches are booked, it's usually a good guy versus a bad guy. But these are two fan favorites, and Jordan Moore, he's got sort of numerous people ever since Over the Limit 2 weeks ago. And I don't blame anybody for supporting him because, I've always been a pretty big fan of Jordan Moore, even though he was doing bad things when he was in TCO, and he brought that up. But like you said, Die Hard lost his way, and Jordan basically, he went his own path, and his own path was a path of success.
Yeah, and I do agree with a lot of things that he said, and he described himself as a sort of a lone wolf, and I agree with that. He does have that sort of aura about him. I think is the word I'm looking for. Just he doesn't really deal with anybody. He does things his own way, and I really do. I see that like you said, he waited to find his opportunity. He saw it and he struck. It's very opportunistic of him, but it was also very well planned.
He planned that very well, and he's really showing Jacob Knight tonight, in a big hip toss there. As I was just saying that he was showing Jacob Knight, the ins and outs here of what it takes to be that top tier. And Jacob Knight, he's trying, but I don't like his chances tonight against the champion. Jordan, he's been in a great mood since Over the Limit.
Yeah, and he does have that. It's a completely different level of wrestling. It's a completely different level of talent. He's just Jordan right now is the bar. He's set the standard for himself and everybody else in the power plant. A lot of people said that they didn't think that Die Hard could be beaten, or nobody would take that title from him, and he certainly showed us otherwise at Over the Limit.
Well, and that's the thing. We've seen Die Hard lose matches, and we've seen controversial endings for Die Hard's title reigns. But it was so back and forth in their match Over the Limit, and Jordan proved that you can go out there and you can beat Die Hard at his own game and pin him to the mat uncontroversially and just do it straight up.
Yeah, and ending the match with that same kick, that head trauma that may have ended his brother's career too. I mean that it's something that it's not going to be. It's something that and here with that Kimura arm lock that Jordan has been practicing, and he's become somewhat famous for. This arm lock is devastating, and I think he just let him out of it. But like I was saying, he took everything to Die Hard. I mean, I wouldn't say he gave him a taste of his own medicine per se. I mean, like you said, Die Hard did have a lot of controversial endings to his matches, but it was clean. It was a completely clean match.
It was, and that was probably the greatest part. I mean, like I was saying, I mean, Jordan, he went toe for toe, move for move with Die Hard, and Die Hard had it looking upwards, for him a couple of times in the matchup, but at every corner, Jordan was there to shut him down.
And I do kind of feel bad for Jacob Knight. This isn't going well for him at all, but Jordan is sure showing him. Oh, his head bouncing off the turnbuckle there, that steel turnbuckle, and going for the pin. But he's shown him the ropes. He's really taken Jacob Knight to the extreme here. Again, whipping him to the outside. He's not giving him any breathing room at all.
Exactly, but I did notice, or I've noticed, throughout this matchup here, Jordan is he's taking his time. I mean, he's not giving him much room to breathe, but he's still taking his time. He's being careful. He's making sure that although he is completely dominating, Jacob Knight right now, he's making sure not to hurt him.
Yeah, and I mean the fact that Jordan Moore is setting the pace here, with somebody small and fast like Jacob Knight, he needs to pick up the pace to be able to compete. But Jordan Moore setting him up here, whipping him into the turnbuckle, and what's he? Ooh, this is this is a technique he's been working on. He calls it the kill shot, and that's gonna be it.
It is definitely over, very empathetically of Jordan to end it right there. I mean, he could have kept it going if he wanted to, but he was kind enough to end it. And as you see, I mean, our PowerPoint champion, our undisputed PowerPoint champion, getting the celebration that he deserves, on top of the celebration over the limit with James Lee. It was just so phenomenal. And this man, he's got so much career. I cannot wait to see what he brings to the table as the champion.
Yeah, and you said it. He's definitely going to be. He described himself as saying that he's going to attempt to be the most dominant champion in the history of the PowerPoint, and that's a tall order. With the people that we've had in and out of here, that's a very tall order. But I think he might be able to stand up to that.
Exactly, and I mean Jordan he's no easy competitor to beat. I mean, the defeat that he has suffered in the PowerPoint, there are very few that have happened throughout the course of his career. They're very, very small and minuscule. He doesn't lose very often. When he does lose, it was typically controversial.
Yeah, definitely, and I mean, as he's heading to the back here, this is a man that has he's waited his time, he's paid his dues, and he's going to be. I'm very excited to, like I said, I'm very excited to see how his title reign plays out. And as he said, the enigmatic era has begun here in the PowerPoint.
Yeah, exactly. And he is definitely one of my fave five. And folks, we will be right back in just a few moments. We just got to take a quick commercial break.
Did you hear about the car company test driving cars on the internet? You just log on, click drive, and hit the space bar to accelerate, all from your living room. That's absurd. This is the all-new 2011 Dodge Charger, available for real test drives.
Welcome back to SmackDown, folks. I'm your host, Christopher Willis. Still alongside Wes Steele here. And, our first match of the night, we had Jordan Moore completely wipe the floor with Jacob Knight and this experience with Chuck Davidson. He was with us last year. He had this kind of passed out
Yeah, and I think in light of our new champion stepping in, he's looking up some old faces and asking if they'd like to step back in the ring and have another shot and get another go with us. And I can only, like I said, I can only assume, but I'm guessing that had something to do with it.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it did, and that's one of those great things about having a champion that he cares about the people, because what it can see, it's not just going to be Chuck Davidson that's making Jordan bigger coming up. There's also another return happening, and I don't want to ruin it for everyone. So I just want to hold off on saying as well, but he is a very familiar name for a lot of people.
That was a terrible cliffhanger, but we'll go with it. And indeed, we have another face showing up here tonight. But like we've said, and I think part of what Jordan said is trying to help, being as somewhat of a savior for the power plant, has something to do with it. But here we go with another superstar heading down to the ring that I've definitely heard of before, and I'm pretty sure several other people have too.
Yeah, and if you don't know who Jamal Johnson or Will Saint is, then shame on you, because you should know who this young man is.
Yeah, he actually had a small feud back quite a while ago with Jordan Moore, and they fought several times and had several very good matches here in the Power Plant.
Exactly, and for those of you that don't know, Will Saint, he is a former partner. He was the final partner, which we never really found out what happened with that title. He was the last ever champion, and that's something pretty prestigious to be the last ever.
Yeah, that hardcore championship was a very big singles title. He was and I think, and I'm gonna make a small correction. You've obviously been here longer than I have, but Jordan Moore did beat him for that hardcore championship on one of our last shows that we ever saw it on. But Jordan Moore took that title from him, and Jordan Moore was a two-time hardcore champion, because he and Say did trade it back twice, back and forth. But Jordan Moore had that title last.
And again, I love this whole new Superstar Initiative thing, because I talked to a lot of the older guys, or the guys that have been on the roster, and some of the newer guys, and when I asked them about Over the Limit, and I asked them what they thought of the match between Die Hard and Jordan Moore, and they said they would have glad to have Jordan Moore be the guy that's representing the power plant.
Yeah, and I mean I agree. He is, when you have a switch, like a changing of the guard, per se, and having somebody as the new face of a program, you definitely want to make sure it's going to be somebody that the people like, and I personally haven't heard anybody complain.
Exactly, and that's one of those great things about it, is when Die Hard was a champion, there was a lot of, I don't want to say mutiny on the power plant, but there was a lot of mutiny. I mean, there really was, or when he was the champion. But now that Jordan's a champion, it's just like everybody's so happy right now.
Yeah, and I mean, there are certainly those people that want to step up and have that opportunity, and I agree with that. But there isn't anybody complaining about how the business is being run, how what it's like in the locker room anymore, how it was when Die Hard was champion.
Exactly, and I think part of that is because Jordan Moore, he knows what it's like to be not necessarily the new guy, but the guy that is held down or not given the opportunity. And I have under good authority that Jordan Moore, had quite a bit of input on this week's match card with Melinda. From what I understand is Die Hard may be upset with Jordan, but Melinda is not upset with Jordan.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, nothing was ever given to him. He always worked for what he got. He earned his spots. He did what he was told, and a lot of that had to do with Die Hard. But he was never just handed anything, and that's what I have a lot of respect for him with.
Yeah, and he literally fought tooth and nail, scratched and clawed, bit his way to the top. And Jordan Moore is living proof that even a superstar like Chuck Davidson or Lil Saint, with enough hard work and dedication, and as long as you pick an opportunity, and it's all about finding your opportunity. If you pick an opportunity, great things can happen for you in your career.
And that is certainly right, but getting back a little bit on track here with the match, Saint has really been taking it to Jamal Johnson. I'm not used to that. But Jamal Johnson with a big drop kick, taking Chuck Davidson out to the outside, and a big jumping senton to the outside, and then that splash onto that concrete. He's really taking the fight to Chuck Davidson here.
Exactly, and I mean, this is first show of the year, and these guys, they want to make that impact because Breakdown, our Royal Rumble, is coming up at the end of January, and these matches throughout the normal weekly show determine your entry level. Depending on your success rate throughout the weekly shows will depend on whether you're entering first, or if you're lucky enough to get one of those very high numbers, or you get that advantage.
Yeah, and definitely being the fresher that you are entering that match, that is a big it's a big help. It's a big opportunity to do well in that sort of match. But I like to think that maybe being the last person in isn't the best entry number, because I mean, if you're coming in last, you're not really used to how it's being fought, used to how the matches are being played out, and maybe one or two or even three people to the last number would be something that would be a little bit more of an advantageous, because at that point, you've been in there and you may or may not have eliminated one or two people, but regardless, you've seen how the match is being fought, how it's being played out, and you're a little bit more used to the surroundings.
Yeah, and with the match at hand, even it seems to me that Chuck Davidson is taking a lot of those springboard risks that we talk about week after week, and unfortunately, they're not paying off for him right now. Lil Saint is shutting him down, every time he turns around. And again, another springboard attempt, that time by Saint, but the success rate of those, it's not turning out pretty good for either of them in this matchup.
Yeah, but I mean, even at that, Jamal getting right back to his feet and taking it to Chuck Davidson, he was really staying on top of it and showing off, his skills and his strengths in a match like this. This is definitely going to influence what number that Melinda or whoever decides at what point you enter. You'll be getting into that match at. This is a huge opportunity for both Saint and Chuck to really show off what they can do and try to get those higher numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And right now Saint, he's in firm control. A big, another big slap right across the face, and look at this, Saint waking him up here from the ground, crossing the arms. And look at this, a kick to the abdomen. Off the ropes, big drop kick to the side of the head, puts Chuck Davidson back down on the mat.
And then there's just the little things, those punches straight to the side of the face, like the temple area of the head. Those little things pick apart the body in ways that most people watching wouldn't even understand, because the toll that it takes on the body is tremendous when you're down. You're trying to get that second or two's rest before your opponent's going to get back up. That just those couple seconds would have been nice, and Saint staying on it, taking it to him, and here he is trying to set something up.
Saint's looking at it again here. Kick to the abdomen.
Knee.
Got him down. Oh my God! That was the side of his foot on his face.
Yeah, that giant kick, and then 1, 2, and 3. Jamal is pinned Chuck in a very dominating match. That was a very good showing for Jamal Johnson in his first appearance back with us in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge. And,
very impressive.
You gotta believe that, Melinda Guerrero was watching that match, and even with Jordan, he had, he's taking notes, he's looking at the guys that possibly challenge him for his title later on. Saint's gotta be on that list of, possible contenders.
Definitely, but, what's going on with Die Hard? I mean, he's gotta want to try to get back in the ring with Jordan, but you know, at the same time, maybe not wanting to get back in the ring with Jordan because he's had his shot, but the toll that it took on Die Hard's body, I'm not sure that he'd be able to stand it again.
Exactly, and unfortunately for Die Hard, it was a very rigorous match. You know, it did not really benefit him in that that given situation. And folks, we gotta take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Dr. House?
Yeah,
I just want you to know, I think you're the best ever.
me too.
Want my churro? Really, you can have it.
My patient just died. You think the Spanish deep-fried snack is gonna make things better?
I guess I'll see you around then.
Hey, kid. Catch.
Ow!
Really thought you had that.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're on commercial break, so I might get part sitting on the trailer, but switching gears into that, we have Lacey Arthurs, who's taking on former tag team partner, former tag team champion Rick Walker. Big turn of events at the limit. Lacey Arthurs, I don't know what was going on from that. You just feel attacked.
Yeah, and I mean, you could tell that in the middle of in the middle of that match, something wasn't quite right between the two of them. You know, they weren't exactly cooperating, and then after the fact, Arthur's kind of took it to Brick Wall. I mean, I haven't talked to him either, but I'm not sure that I want to at this point.
Well, I mean, the worst part about it was Arthur's dropped off an apron as the pinfall was happening on Brick Wall. And then he got in the ring looking like he was going to help Brick Wall up, and then out of nowhere just kind of in the face.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure I understood, even what could have been going through his mind, and I'm still I'm still in shock.
Well, he's definitely got a score to settle tonight with AC Arthur, which I don't blame him for that. I mean, it's weird seeing Brick Wall sporting a TCO outfit. I'm not sure what the meaning of that is. He's sporting an outfit that says TCO on it, which is surprising to say the least.
Yeah, as far as we understood, quite a while back, he left TCO to go be in the Click, so I'm very confused right now. Although sporting that different look and something different for Brick Wall as compared to what we've been used to seeing him in. But this is definitely going to be a very exciting match between AC Arthurs and Brick Wall with what has happened between the two of them in the last few weeks.
Exactly, and since they were a tag team, it makes you wonder, how close this match is going to be because they traveled on the road together for quite a while and they were in the Click together and things of that nature.
Yeah, and it's got to be something not exactly like, but close to how it was between Jordan Moore and Die Hard, because these two have seen each other and studied each other and been hanging around and wrestling with each other for so long that they have to know most of what each other can do.
Exactly, and I mean, right now it's almost a stalemate. I mean, we see a little bit of offense from Arthurs, we see a little bit of offense from Brick Wall, but it's pretty much a stalemate right now.
Yeah, so I mean, like we've said, it will be interesting to see who can come out on top here. Personally, I'd like to see Brick Wall kind of give it back to Arthur's a little bit, but I mean, like we said, we'll see what happens.
Well, the unfortunate thing that's been happening to Brick Wall ever since leaving TCO, he kind of has been stuck in that rut. I mean, yeah, he was tag team champion with AC Arthurs, but they were stuck in kind of rut, and I mean, it's been building on Brick Wall and building on Brick Wall. The success that this young man had early in his career just hasn't been measured in equal amounts later on in his career up to current times.
Definitely, and that's got to be frustrating for him, especially seeing somebody like AC Arthurs who feels the need after they've been such successful tag team partners to break away from him, and AC Arthurs feeling like he was being held back or whatever by brick wall. It's got to be frustrating.
Well, I know during following right after Over the Limit, I know at the East Hackers and Suicide Kid, or I should say Jamie Hall, they were spotted at a party together, drinking together, and just celebrating their victories. But ultimately, Arthur's didn't have a victory at Over the Limit.
No, I mean, in the books, it is counted as a loss because they didn't drop the titles to the Sparks brothers. But I mean, maybe in his eyes, seeing as he's not with Brick Wall anymore, and he's gone into his own little stage where he wants to be a singles competitor, and more power to him. But if that's what it is, then maybe he does feel like that is somewhat of a win.
And that's true. I mean, but I still do believe that AC Arthurs is a great in-ring competitor. Hopefully he'll settle in. Maybe it was just a mix-up, with AC Arthurs. Maybe he was just confused. Maybe he hit his head or something during the match. Something of that nature.
Well, I mean, but on the previous SmackDown, you saw the same kind of thing, that miscommunication. It's been building for weeks, and I'm surprised that it happened at the pay-per-view, but at the same time, I'm not. So I'm not going to say that I was surprised to see what happened at all, but there was, there's been that miscommunication building for weeks.
Exactly, and I mean, as you saw, Brick Wall trying to mount a little bit of offense here, but AC Arthurs, who was trying to get AC Arthurs shut him down again there with the quick hip toss. AC Arthurs is keeping on the offensive, and he's not really allowing Brick Wall much, room to really gain an advantage, which is a bad thing for Brick Wall because he needs to turn it around. He needs to get this match in his favor.
Yeah, and AC Arthurs does prefer a slower pace, and even though Brick Wall is somebody that's a much bigger guy, he does like to pick up the pace to get it going for him, and that's something that Arthur's has been defending very well so far during this match.
Exactly, and I mean Arthur's has definitely set the pace for this matchup. He's keeping real close to Brick Wall, making it so that Brick Wall doesn't have time to breathe or time to really catch his breath. And Arthur's is definitely taking it to Brick Wall tonight. He's basically coming out here saying, I don't just have to kick Brick Wall in the face, I can beat him, in a one-on-one matchup.
Although you can see the frustration building on the face of AC Arthurs right there. He's yelling at the crowd, he's yelling at Brick Wall, but you can see the frustration building that Brick Wall isn't staying down.
Exactly, and now Arthur's with that front shot right there off the second rope and
doing a little bit taunting,
yeah. Now he's coming over here to our table. Why don't you just go back to your match, Arthurs?
Get back in the ring, Arthurs.
Worry about Brick Wall, because if Brick Wall starts beating on you, then when that driller hits, it could be game over. That's one thing I just don't understand. Why people, oh my God, and the big play of the day, that right there definitely
out of nowhere
to the head. Only a one count on Brick Wall.
Wow. And that had to be pure adrenaline that helped Brick Wall kick out right there.
Most definitely. I mean, that move, we saw the damage that it did over the limit, and it wasn't just one of them; it was two of them.
Yeah.
And with Brick Wall, he's in a very tough spot right now because he needs to try to, show that he's got what it takes to really hang in there. And right now, he's sticking in there, but Arthur is still just shutting him down.
I mean, Arthur's just deadlifted a man almost twice his size.
Exactly, and Arthur's, he's got one heck of a win streak. I know you saw some of Arthur's independent matches. I saw him as well, and he's definitely got a mean streak. But this is a whole new kind of mean.
Yeah, and this, like we've said, this is something new coming out for him, and to a point, I like it. I like seeing, singles competitors, definitely, but I do hate to see a good tag team being broken up.
Exactly, and they had it going for them in the tag division, but like you said, it was building for weeks, and ultimately it don't know why it was building. I mean, they were a successful tag team. They were over with the fans. The fans really enjoyed the clique, but somehow they just couldn't, I guess, coexist with each other.
Yeah, and I don't want to take anything away from the Sparks brothers, but AC Arthurs and Brickwall in that match really beat themselves. I think there were a couple points at which the match could have and maybe should have ended, maybe for both sides, but AC Arthurs and Brickwall beat themselves in that match over the limit.
Exactly, and it's unfortunate because, I mean, oh my God, the Driller out of nowhere there.
Out of nowhere.
You know, and like I was saying, it's unfortunate because Arthurs and Brickwall were a phenomenal team, but into the cover goes Brickwall. There's a 2 and the 3, and just like that, one Driller is all it takes, and the match will happen.
Yeah, out of nowhere. That was a fantastic planning, and the element of surprise really getting it for Brickwall right there, and that's what secured him the victory.
Yeah, exactly, and that was a huge win for Brickwall tonight. You know, maybe that's going to help put him back on the map, help him look forward to breakdown in the January. Likewise for AC Arthurs, maybe Arthurs can reflect on what's been happening. Folks, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Yeah, and you gotta respect that. I mean, you can't really blame a guy for wanting to be known by his real name by any means. But this is definitely strange to see him out here as, himself as opposed to what he's been putting himself off as.
Exactly, and I mean, from what I understand, though, he plans on. He says that the year of 2012 will be the year that Jamie Hall makes a huge impact, and I think he had a very impactful year in 2011. I mean, he picked up a pinfall victory over Diehard, the former Power Plant champion. He picked up a huge win over Extreme at Over the Limit. This kid has just been on fire.
Definitely, but I mean, coming down to the ring, this is going to be a very interesting match indeed, because we've seen this man one other time in the Power Plant, and that was quite a while back against, I believe it was Ryan Castle.
Yes, that is correct. He injured Ryan Castle.
Yeah, and this man has been working at wrestling in Japan. He's been studying wrestling since the 2000s. He's definitely a dominant great competitor and a very tough challenge for Mr. Jamie Knight.
The thing with Monroe is that Monroe is really big into the psyche. Perfectionist. Monroe is definitely a perfectionist and addiction. We're going to
And I mean, just the fact that once you get into somebody's head, that's how you get the psyche of the match, getting into somebody's mind. When you even start the match, that's the most part of the match goes down.
Exactly. And with Monroe, I mean, his entrance is probably one of the most chilling entrances that I've seen in a long time. Just wearing, that fur coat, and that's a fashion statement right there in itself. But he basically says, he's not afraid to look how he wants to look and go out there and do what he needs to do.
Exactly.
And I mean, already the mind games are starting. I mean, look at this. Monroe is already taunting Jamie Hall here, trying to get him to come out of the ring.
Yeah, and we saw that against Ryan Castle too. He plays those mind games when when we saw that match with Castle. He get in just like this and throw a couple punches, mess around with him a little bit, hop out of the ring and made the big man wear himself down. But Suicide Kid being much smaller and more agile, I'm not sure that'll work as well. But this is going to be a very technical and a very fun match to watch.
Exactly, and I'm excited to get to call this because Monroe, again with the psyche there, he made Jamie Hall think that he had the move, and then just threw a quick upper. This guy, I tell you, Monroe is definitely one of my favorite in-ring competitors. He may not be the greatest good guy because he's more of a bad guy if anything, but the way that he just does it, I mean, you gotta be tuned into him and you gotta watch him.
Yeah, and I mean you gotta respect what he can do in the ring as well. He's one of the most dominant competitors that we've ever had step into grace our ring. And I mean, especially with having his background and what he does right now. I mean, he's like we said, he's wrestling in Japan, and I mean that's not an easy place to just go and wrestle. He's been working with a lot of trainers and whatnot, and he's a very, very dominant competitor. We're very lucky to have him.
Exactly, and it's definitely one of those things that would have to be part of it. It looks like our camera blitzed there for a second, but he was definitely one of those good acquisitions. And from what I understand, I mean, typically this would be breaking the storyline a little bit, but we usually don't talk about how much somebody gets paid. But I mean, even for the Monroe character, he's not getting paid that much in the power plant, but still, he comes out here and he just, in video game sense, he goes beast mode on his adversaries.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely agree, and you can see him, he's throwing lots of punches, lots of uppercuts, elbows, forearms, and I mean, not trying to out-wrestle Jamie right here, but he definitely has made his presence felt in the ring already here tonight.
Exactly, and that was almost look at that modified neck breaker. I mean, who do you know that can do a neck breaker modified like that just out of nowhere?
Yeah, definitely, and I mean with what Monroe is capable of, I'm frightened to see what he has time to plan out and think of, as opposed to just moving on the fly.
Exactly. I mean, when you really think about Monroe, it's almost everybody uses the expression of thinking 2 steps ahead or 1 step ahead, but he's almost 5 steps ahead of his opponent every time, every move. It's like he pre-plans what his opponent's going to do.
Yeah, and I mean, what he's doing right now, whipping Jimmy Hall back and forth across the ring, it's just wearing him out. And I mean, those little things that you can do to take a toll on your opponent doesn't even have to be physical contact. A great hurricane right there by Jimmy Hall. But it doesn't have to be physical contact that wears down your opponent, making him run across the ring over and over. Here again, whipping him against the ropes, ducks under, and that modified neck breaker again. Just those little things will wear down your opponent.
Exactly, and I mean, I gotta hand it to Suicide Kid. Jamie Hall, excuse me. He's doing the smart thing where he's keeping Monroe in the ring. We saw when Monroe faced Ryan Castle. He brought him outside the ring. He was wrenching on the leg on the other side. I mean, Monroe almost got himself counted out.
Yeah, and Monroe with what he knows and what he's capable of, and with his ability to use the ring and the surroundings as a tag team partner against your opponent, with what he's capable of doing. I don't even want to see what he can. I don't want to see anybody get hurt here tonight, and keeping Monroe busy in the ring and not feeling him to the outside was very smart on Jamie's part.
Exactly, and he definitely, I hope that Jamie Hall did his study against Monroe, because Monroe is one of those guys that is very hard to keep down, because he's always thinking ahead. So he plans out. He's probably got one of the best cardio workouts that I've ever seen in the power play.
Yeah, definitely going for the pin.
And
Not even
one.
That's incredible that Jamie Hall has. He's obviously been working out, keeping agile in the gym and whatnot, because you have to be fast, you have to be quick to be in the ring with this guy.
Well, the endurance, that a lot of people don't understand the endurance of these power plant superstars, but I mean, it takes a lot to come up here and perform, even in a 10-minute match. It takes amazing endurance for the things that these guys can do. And I mean, amazing endurance. And it's one of those things that, you always got to think of, and it looked like our camera glitched there for a second, but with Suicide Kid staying on the offensive here, he's, going for a quick hurrah. It looked like Monroe was going to counter that with a powerbomb, but he was able to hit a Hurricane Run off that, is what Suicide Kid was able to do. And now Suicide Kid picks him up here. Looks like he's going for a side moonsault from the ropes, but he missed. And Monroe now back on the offensive here. Oh, and then a big right hand. Now Monroe has him on the outside. This is where Suicide Kid does not want to be.
Right, and this is going to get very interesting with, like we were talking about, how he can use right here the ring and its surroundings as a tag team partner that just simple whips into the barricade, and then if he could have used maybe the steel steps, or even our announce table as a weapon that he could use legally against Suicide Kid, Jamie Hall.
Well, exactly, and like you said, I mean, he uses the ring and the surroundings as a tag team partner, so it's almost like you're in a handicap match against him.
And you definitely don't want to be down for the count heading into a match with Alexander Monroe, but with what he is capable of. That's what he instills into each and every match with again getting into the head, the psyche of his opponent before the match even begins. You know that what he's capable of from the outside of the ring as well as the inside of the ring.
Well, see, it looks to me like, I think that maybe Monroe has gotten into the psyche of Suicide Kid, because Jamie Hall keeps trying to go for the pins, quick pins as soon as he can get them. And I think maybe Monroe did get into his psyche, because typically you don't see Jamie Hall do that. You don't see Suicide Kid go for the quick pin. He tries to inflict damage on the end.
Yeah, and I mean, even right there, like we've talked about, he's got the ability to use everything against the opponent, and I mean that's what you get from the years of practice that he's had.
Well, look at this, another capture suplex there. He lifted the leg up by the shoulder and then did it, and look at this. Monroe's got him up. He's got him on his feet in a groggy state. Attempted a big boot there, but Suicide Kid able to catch him off arm.
And Jamie getting a little bit lucky to be able to avoid that kick. That he was setting something up for Jamie that was going to be devastating.
Yeah, it was not looking like it was going to be a good thing. But look at this. I mean, even off the springboard that barely connected, Monroe still able to get to his feet and go for a cover. But with as much time as they spent on the ground, it looked like Jamie Hall was able to recuperate or able to kick out before a 1 count, which is that keeps the match going, which is good. But then that big spinal tap right there from Monroe, that'll knock the wind right out of it.
Yeah, it sure will. And I mean, I think that maybe it has something to do with the fact that Jamie thought that Monroe would have stayed down a little bit longer. I think that he was just trying to get a little bit of rest, catch his breath a little bit, and then Monroe got up before he switched him too.
Exactly, and Monroe, that's 2 spinal tap kicks now, right to the lower back there. One kick like that. Oh my God! What was that? He just dropped him right on with his foot in the face.
That
Monroe.
giant bicycle kick.
And now, wait a second, Monroe, he's got him up. He's got him up on the shoulders here. Wait, no. Oh! Wow, that's a jaw jacker and a half.
Yeah, it sure is, and I'm surprised he's not going for the pin here, but setting up with that dragon sleeper hold. But Jamie quickly getting out of it. That giant bicycle kick connected right to the chin of Jamie, and then that super kick out of nowhere, he just dropped Monroe.
Now we are in Jamie Hall's advantage point here. Big drop kick right to the side of the head there, takes Monroe down. And now, as you see, Suicide Kid, shades of what he did to Extreme at Over the Limit, kick to the abdomen. Wait a second, Monroe caught him, reversed it with a side Russian leg sweep.
And now Monroe setting up Jamie Hall for something.
Oh, wow. Big, MMA style backhand chop. I mean, that was
But it was very smart of what Jamie Hall did. He realized that he was close to the ropes and got out of the ring, rolled out of the ring very quickly, which was very smart on his part.
Well, now you see Monroe going to work on the knees there with those several drop kicks right to the knees. And now what's Jamie Hall thinking? He's got him in the corner. Oh, and Monroe counters, whips Hall right back into the corner.
I mean, just these little things. I mean, they don't look like they're overly painful, but it's the little things that can pick your opponent apart, like being whipped into the corner over and over, those repeated drop kicks to the knee. These submissions aren't like exceptionally strong or meant to make your opponent tap out, just meant to take a toll on them.
Exactly, and I almost believe that camel clutch, I think that Monroe could have gotten the win there, but look at this, he's got the tendon lock there on the Achilles.
But Jamie Hall, staying agile and staying quick and getting out of those submissions very quickly, which is smart on his part.
Well, now Monroe, back on the offensive shoulder first, right into that turnbuckle. And now, again, this is the second time here. That's 2 times he's thrown Jamie Hall's shoulder first into that steel turnbuckle.
Jamie Hall again getting out of the ring, but getting right back in and running into another kick, and then a nice little...
That was like a scoop, kind of like a modified scoop driver. Reminds me of a Northern Lights driver. Now an Anaconda Vice here. That side headlock with the armbar on it, just wrenching away.
But again, Jamie Hall, just, realizing what kind of trouble he was in and getting out of it quickly.
Jamie Hall is definitely in some trouble in this matchup. He's got to do something, and he's got to do something quick. A big Hurricane Rana could be the difference maker right here. He should have went for the cover there on Monroe.
Yeah, you gotta wonder the strategy of Jamie, because Monroe is not somebody to be taken lightly by any means.
Exactly, and Monroe, he goes out there and he gives 200% in every match I've seen him do. And for Jamie Hall, he needs to capitalize on any offense he has. Which, if he can catch Jamie Hall with an off pin, go ahead and take it.
Definitely. I mean, I would, especially being me, I would take any kind of pin over Monroe. Given that you would have that asterisk next to it, but I would take whatever kind of line you pick up against it.
Exactly, and I mean, I understand that Suicide Kid is trying to play a little bit of a mind game here with Monroe, but you can't play mind games with the master of mind games. It just doesn't work like that.
Although, maybe you can. Monroe looking confused as Jamie Hall plays the same games that Monroe was playing at the beginning of this match.
Now Suicide Kid goes to run in, but just like that, Monroe had his head turned away from him and then still caught him with that modified sleeper slam.
He was playing possum to him or something, because he was just waiting for him to run in, and he saw his opportunity. A nice drop kick to the back, not taking him down, but a nice little tilt-a-roll Hurricane Rana there, and Monroe started to slide out of the ring.
Well, maybe we underestimated Jamie Hall in this match, and then he calls that the trouble in paradise there. And wait a second, he's setting him up. I mean, I know Suicide Kid was talking about using a 450 splash. I've not seen this done too many times, but a big 450 there. A huge 450. Hooks the leg. 1, 2. Only a 2 count on Alexander Monroe.
Wow. You can see the frustration building on the face of Jamie Hall. But he thought that was it.
Look at that, a single, and as you see, Monroe after that push puck, and then we got the Suicide Kid out here on the outside. He's got a steel chair.
What to do with this? This is not a no DQ match. The disqualifications are on. This is not anything. Oh!
I mean, I understand that he's frustrated. I mean, maybe he was frustrated that, maybe he was frustrated that Monroe kicked out.
Possibly, but Monroe, you can see there's blood in the ring, that he was busted open after that shot to the head with the steel chair.
Suicide Kid, as he's going back up the entrance ramp here, he's now taunting Alexander Monroe, after he hits him with the steel chair. And I have a feeling this is not the last that we've seen of Monroe and Jamie Hall. I got a feeling that Jamie Hall is probably not going to like the outcome of what happens to him.
No, there's definitely going to be hell to pay for Jamie Hall when you take out an opponent like Monroe, especially like that after a fantastic match. Great match to watch, but kind of sorry to see it end that way.
Such a spoiled ending for the matchup. It's unfortunate, it really is. I guess those things do happen when somebody gets frustrated that they can't beat the person they wanted to beat. Folks, coming up next is our main event, so just stick with us for just one more quick commercial break.
Did you hear about the car company test driving cars on the internet? You just log on, click drive, and hit the space bar to accelerate, all from your living room. That's absurd. This is the all-new 2011 Dodge Charger, available for real test drives.
Again, you gotta respect that, but going back a second, speaking of Die Hard, at least I haven't heard anything. I believe that you sent text about it. I haven't heard anything. Die Hard is
and it is unfortunate because I sent one in the text message after our first commercial break, and I asked her, has Die Hard been medically cleared? And in her response, she just said that we will know when the time comes. We don't know. Are we supposed to expect the main event? Are we not supposed to expect the main event?
Maybe he's just out here to talk. Well, maybe not.
Exactly. I guess we'll have to find out. As you can clearly see, he is walking. He looks like he's clearly here. It's just, this is not the Die Hard that we know.
And you can tell that he's kind of dizzy. He's not really all there. You can't expect anything otherwise after that head kick straight to the skull of Jordan at the end of it.
It makes you wonder because I know when I spoke to James Brady, he said that he lost functionality in his legs on the farm for 2 days. That's a long time to be demoted.
Yeah, and we've only had a few days since over the limit, and he's back here, but he doesn't look like he's quite here yet.
Exactly. But I guess he's here to compete because we're in a standing tie-up now from James Lee and Die Hard, and James got the better of the situation, a big side belly to belly there, and just like on the offensive goes James Lee. A big drop kick, and it makes you wonder the wear and tear in Die Hard's body from over the limit. How much does Die Hard have in the tank?
Yeah, and it's going to play a huge factor in this match. Off the ropes, over the top, and James catches him with Die Hard with the counter. He gets that big DDT. Looks like he's trying to shake off the ring rust a little bit from having, still recovering from that kick. But I mean, it looks like, once he got in the ring and that bell rang, that he went back to that zone. That he knows where he's at. He's just out here to compete.
That or else, Die Hard's trying to put Game Over away real quick. He's got to be trying to put James away fast because, I mean, if there is some type of injury or something going on to Die Hard and he doesn't want anybody to know about it, he's going to try to end this match as soon as possible.
Definitely can't blame him for that. I mean, he wanted to accomplish the same thing with Jordan, but I mean, that match we saw went roughly 40 minutes.
Exactly. The longer that match ran, the more the signs of wear were showing on Die Hard's body. And, even within the first minute of this match, I mean, Die Hard's already, he's on the defensive already. I mean, James Lee is taking it to him. This is, 2 years almost worth of pent-up frustration.
Yeah, and as Jordan said, 18 months of, since Game Over has stepped out of the ring, and I mean, he's never been defeated in this ring, ever. And, that's a huge thing for Die Hard to step up to.
Exactly, and I mean, this is definitely a test of will for Die Hard and for James Lee, because with Game Over not having any, losses, and with Die Hard, being the guy that might possibly be able to do it, that does play a big part in this whole thing. I mean, there's a lot more on the line in this matchup than just a regular one-on-one match.
That, and I'm sure, that Die Hard was in a lot of pain and everything after, I spoke this with that, but he was in a lot of pain and everything after his match with Jordan Over the Limit. But he had to have been conscious of the fact that James made his presence felt at Over the Limit, and possibly sporting that TCO gear, thinking that he would have been on Die Hard's side and then picking up that title, taking it into the ring and handing it to Jordan. That had to have been a pretty big slap in the face.
Exactly, and you can bet your bottom dollar Die Hard thought that James is coming out there to say, I'm with you, Die Hard, let's forget about Jordan. But I think the thing is James knows where the future of the power plant is, and I know that Die Hard is a bad guy, and I know I say a lot of mean things about him, but Die Hard is not the future.
No, I mean, he has been the past. He's made the power plant what it is today, and as much as I hate to say it, we can all thank him for that, but I mean, at the same time, James was in the same boat that Jordan was. He was in TCO, and he did deal with Die Hard, brushing people aside and making sure that he was at the top always. So I mean, he had to have had some of those same frustrations as Jordan, but that we did see how that played out for Die Hard when James stepped in that ring and showed his loyalty towards Jordan instead of Die Hard.
Well, the thing is Die Hard always talked about TCO being a family and things of that nature. And yeah, Die Hard took care of a lot of the guys. He made sure they got title matches for other titles other than the main title. And like you're saying, it was Die Hard overshadowing and holding them back. And so in all reality, if anything, James and Jordan are showing that TCO really is a family because they're sticking together. They're thick and thin.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of got to think that Jordan is maybe thinking that he would like to get the group back together, not as a faction that tries to control the power plant, but a faction that shows that they are united, and they always will be. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see somewhat of a rebirth of TCO, as there maybe not being a definite leader, but just like you said, as a big family. So I mean, again, it would only leave Jordan and James right now, but with Brick Wall sporting that TCO gear, maybe that has something to do with it.
I don't know. I know that Brick Wall and Jordan Moore, I know that they spent New Year's Eve together. I'm not aware if James Lee was there, but I know that Brick Wall and Jordan Moore spent New Year's Eve together, and they were just relaxing. Nobody really knows what Die Hard did after Over the Limit. We don't know how how Die Hard spent his holiday. And again, I mean, as you watch this match, I mean, Die Hard, he's trying to keep momentum going against James Lee here, but as you can clearly see on Die Hard's body, he is showing signs of wear and tear.
Definitely. I mean, he always does. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's still a great in-ring competitor, but he is weak and he is slower, and that big DDT is not going to hit.
Exactly. I mean, Die Hard, he's got to bend the rules in this matchup. I mean, he hasn't been doing it that often. I mean, yes, he's done his close fist punches. I mean, he did that quick eye rake, but he needs to step it up and really. I hate to say it, but we need to see Die Hard turn into the bad guy again. We need to see him do that. Otherwise, I have a feeling he's not going to be successful in this matchup.
Yeah, he's not going to be getting out of this ring, in any good shape without stepping up and doing what he does best.
Exactly. I mean, Die Hard, he's trying. You can tell he's trying to pick James apart. He's trying to attack body parts, but Die Hard just needs to focus on one body part and hit him with the Die Hard drop or put him in the sleeper hold. Something. He needs to do something. He needs to turn this around because right now James is just completely demolishing Die Hard at every turn here.
Yeah, and like you said, James he's really taking control of this match, and he's setting the pace and making sure that things are going his way, and that's always what he used to do, and that's the reason he's undefeated in my opinion.
Exactly, and I mean, I wish that 2 years ago that James never would have gotten rid of it, because by now I think maybe the winds of change would have changed a lot sooner. I mean, maybe instead of saying that Over the Limit Die Hard versus Jordan, we would have saw James versus Jordan or something of that nature.
Yeah, and I could definitely in the future down the road see a respect match between James and Jordan. Probably not right away, but definitely sometime in the future see a match something like that.
Exactly, and I mean I know we always talk about how Die Hard was the guy that TCO get on the map and things like that. And yes, like you said earlier, Die Hard is in large fault as to why the power plant is as successful as it is today, because he did have a very large bank account in 2009, and he started his own company, and it just so happened to be the power plant. So I mean, that was a good thing for him to do. But he kind of lost his way.
Yeah, and Jordan did touch on that a little bit earlier when he was talking about, how Die Hard is not the same person that he used to be, and I mean that everybody can see that. He's not the same, the same competitor in ring that he once was.
I remember I watched a match between James Lee and Die Hard right around I think it was in 2006 or 2007. It didn't have a date on the video, and the match was extremely back and forth. But Die Hard, switched it into overdrive in the final closing minutes of that match, and he really took it to James Lee, who's known as Game Over then. I mean, I saw matches. I saw beautiful tag team matches where it was James Lee and Jordan Moore against Die Hard and James Braden. And I mean, those matches were so back and forth, and Die Hard was always able to set the pace in those final 5 or 10 minutes of the match. But this match, he's been being belittled almost by James Lee. I mean, Die Hard resorted to using the same moves in this match, repeated several times.
I mean, but you do have to do what works, and if you know that one thing is working, you stick to it. So, you can figure out something else that works, you stick with that. Eventually, you're going to win the match. Yeah,
but I mean, even with that mindset, though, I mean, Die Hard, I mean, he's hanging in there. I will give him that, but he's getting slower with every move he's doing. I mean, every kick he does, it's getting slower to contact. Every punch he does is getting slower. There's something wrong with Die Hard, and he's not sharing with anybody what it is.
Yeah, you can I definitely agree. So,
And it's
it's,
yeah,
I
it's unfortunate.
I do think that he's got maybe some sort of a concussion or something. I mean, he doesn't take any kind of contact, and you can see he's just staggered. And there's repeated blows to the back of the head, like right there, that James is setting him up with. This is not going well for Dyer.
Wait a second. He's hooking he's got the arms hook. That double underhook, that is a pedigree from hell, if anything. Wait a second. James is getting him back to his feet. Die Hard's number may be up here. Another kick to the abdomen. Wait a second. He's got him up on his shoulder. A little bit of a tilt-a-whirl here. And then a big side flapjack power bomb. I don't even know what to call that. Into the cover here. 1, 2, 3, and
That's it.
that is it.
Wow.
I mean, this is congratulations to James Lee picking up a huge win over the former power plant champion. As you saw, Dyer broke right out of the ring following that pin there. He's on the outside. He has no intention on even trying to fight back. There's something wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rare occurrence to see Dyer lose. But if anything, you would expect him to get back in the ring and try to keep fighting. I mean, that was very surprising. You can see that he's staggering, putting body parts, putting his head, walking back up the ramp. There's definitely something wrong.
There is definitely something wrong. And folks, we are out of time for tonight. This was definitely one heck of a show. Make sure to tune in next week. There's definitely going to be a whole lot going on. Hopefully we can find out a little bit about the Die Hard situation. I'm Christopher Billings. This is West Steel. Have a good night, ladies and gentlemen.